Everything circles back. Follow history and you'll find key players that influence decisions down the line for decades to come. One of these for monster trucks is Craig Christensen, a legend and a future Hall of Famer in his own right, as he became a force to be reckoned with Team KCM, featuring its flagship truck Dragon Slayer, alongside other prominent names such as Captain Insano and Spider-Man. 20 years on from the Monsters of Destruction days, Craig inadvertently laid the foundation for one of the biggest teams out there, who have now been creating a legacy of their own, with a mind-boggling number of trucks competing from the smallest speedways to the largest stadiums, and don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Despite the arid soil of Utah, this team has been able to grow and spread its roots at a rate that would make kudzu jealous. This is the rise of Team Throttle Monster. Craig is crucial, as two of his sons, Mike Christensen and Paul Jensen, would be the founders of this organization. Paul came out of retirement after spending the 2000s running with his father, most prominently with Spider-Man, while Mike would go from crew member to driver, taking the reins of Iron Outlaw for the 2018 Stadium Series for Monster Jam. The story really would begin in earnest in 2016, however, with the debut of Kamikaze under the Team KCM banner. This would mark Paul's first time in a monster truck since the mid-2000s, with the truck running alongside Wicked and Dragon Slayer, especially along the West Coast and Midwest near their home turf, most prominently with the Toughest Monster Truck Tour. Now springboarding a couple years, in the spring of 2018, Mike would leave 2 Extreme Racing to create his own truck, Vendetta, pairing up with his sibling to create Team Throttle Monster, offshooting from their father's team as a new Kamikaze chassis would debut to coincide. That October, the team would make their Monster Jam debut running in NRG Stadium, with Vendetta and Paul running the Rod Ryan body on Kamikaze. Leading through 2019, both trucks would run primarily along their native area, specifically on the Monster Truck Insanity Tour, consistently racking up wins showing the skills of the two pilots, and would continue to compete across the rest of 2019, including in Red Bluff, California, a prominent West Coast independent event. For 2020, the team would compete on the Toughest Monster Truck Tour, with Mike Christian taking the title, but blah blah blah, COVID, blah blah, yeah, you've already heard it enough here. The team, however, would begin its expansion in 2020, debuting a new second Kamikaze with a black design and Wrecking Machine, a larger scale version of Hunter Souza, son of former Detour driver Jeff Souza's mini monster truck of the same name. However, for the first few events, it would be driven by a man named David Olfert, a long-standing crew chief for drivers such as Brianna Mahan and Bari Musawar, being the crew chief for the latter during his 2012 Young Gun Shootout Championship, so you know he had the experience to boot. Too Tall, as he's affectionately known, would start racking up wins with his teammate Dawson Reyes, who he himself would debut later that year, the 4th identity for the team, Rockwell Red, sponsored by the watch company of the same name. It was clear the team had big plans heading through into 2021, as the team would also be announced taking part of the first Monster Jam event that year, but not with either of their 4 identities. Instead, a new one. Sorta. In the closing days of 2020, it was announced the team had acquired the Jurassic Attack name and unveiled a new modernized Jurassic Attack to debut in Salt Lake City, driven by David. One of the most iconic 3D designs, who had laid dormant for 10 years at that point, was brought back to much fanfare, and David would start collecting hardware right off the bat, leaving the venue with trophies. The team would spend the first part of 2021 touring with promoters like All-Star, Live a Little, and Z-Tour, with their stadium re-debut in Glendale that June. The team would begin to run more and more in Monster Jam, alongside unveiling their own promotion, Monster Truck Militia, christening the tour with the Diesel brothers, who had driven Bro Dozer and Bro Camino pre-COVID, now helping pilot the trucks for select events. By this time, Hunter Souza would begin driving his large-scale truck, while a new face by the name of Dalton Widener would enter the fold, a longtime fan of the sport, trading his college football digs for a fire suit to some immediate promise. El Paso would mark the first time 4 trucks would be on hand with Monster Jam, with Rockwell, Wrecking Machine, Jurassic Attack, and Vendetta would all be in attendance. The team would be announced to compete full-time for Monster Jam in 2022, with Travis Mowry, the former Storm Damage driver, now joining the team in Rockwell Red, touring with David and Jurassic Attack on the Arena West Series, while Paul Jensen, on a new Metal Shop designed chassis, would compete with Mike, putting the two masterminds of the operation on their biggest floors to date. Meanwhile, a third Jurassic Attack will be piloted by the new kid on the block, Dalton Widener, for the Toughest Monster Truck Tour, while they'd be keeping in the family as Zach Jensen, brother of Paul Jensen, would drive Kamikaze. Dalton would begin collecting hardware on TMTT, while despite some struggles on the stadium fronts, Travis and Tootal would collect wins on their tour. However, the crowning achievement would go to Dalton as he would defend the team's toughest crown back in 2020 and win the championship, making this the second title added to Throttle's expanding trophy cabinet. While unfortunately none of the trucks would get invites to the World Finals in Orlando, this was still a major weekend for the team, as they would unveil both a new Vendetta design with a Rust Bucket theme that they campaign through this day, and a brand new identity, Velociraptor, with David Olford at the helm. Velociraptor would start to make its first stadium appearances in the postseason, as by this point the team were running everywhere and anywhere. Already, this was an empire in the making, and the wildest thing is each truck and driver were performing at an elite level each weekend out. In Salinas, a mind-melting 6 trucks would run with all their identities at the time represented, including Extreme Attitude with Travis Mowry, as the team ran with Monster Jam, Live a Little, Toughest, and their own promotion keeping the shop busy. Bailey Shea, former Scooby-Doo driver, would be announced to drive a Monster Mutt Dalmatian for the team, while Travis would score the team's first stadium victory, winning freestyle in the Fall Houston show. Later that month, a new blue Velociraptor would be unveiled with Travis running alongside Mike in the stadiums, with Bailey, Dalton, Tootal, and Hunter, now an Earthshaker, running the Arena Series. The hardware would start racking up as Dalton and David were clinching wins, and Mike Christensen would break through, winning his first freestyle, skills, and overall wins in the stadiums, showing vast improvements, with Travis and the rest of the team holding their own against stiff competition. However, prior to the end of the season, Travis would step away from the team as he and his wife Kaylin, daughter of Darren Migas, would welcome their first child. Joe Urey, former Zombie driver, and Devin Winfield would join the team. Once again, none of their representatives would be in the World Finals, but Mike Christensen would win the Breakout Award for his stellar performance in the stadium settings. The team would continue to run strong in the second part of the year, with Dalton winning racing at the Back to School Bash most prominently, while new blood Tim Hall Jr., no relation to the Hall brothers, would start collecting wins of his own, and David Olfert would score a popular home turf win in Sublimity, Oregon. If the expansive fleet and prominent success wasn't enough, the team would also make history, debuting the first hydrogen-powered monster truck at SEMA in 2023. And although, as of date, the truck has not competed, it's still a massive testament to the engineering skills that come out of that Utah shop. For 2024, David would finally make his Stadium Series debut, with Mike returning once again, while Dalton, Devin, and new faces James Calhoun and Berto Trevino would run the West Series. Dalton would begin taking claims to overalls, while Mike would finish his missing trophy, scoring a racing win in San Diego. If that weren't enough, David Olfert would score his first career stadium win in Birmingham. The season would progress, with Dalton Widener finishing the best out of the team as a run-up to Gravedigger. However, let's put an asterisk next to that. See, midway through the season, Brandon Vincent would suddenly vacate the digger seat, leading to Cody Saucier and international driver Matt Cody to fill up the remaining dates. Matt Cody, being the realist MVP, would give Dalton his World Finals invite, feeling he was more worthy since he ran the full season. Here, King, you drop this. This would mark the first time Team Throttle Monster would make the World Finals, but they weren't done. With the reintroduction of the Last Chance Showdown, both Mike and David would be in the 12-truck field, and working through the bracket, the inevitable collision course were teammates in the finals, with David securing the W. Dalton would take down former champion Todd LeDuc before losing to the eventual champion Zach Garner, who was basically on another planet that night, but we'll get more on that later. David, meanwhile, decided no one's bracket should get out alive by beating Son of a Digger before losing to the other finalists Tristan England and JCP Digatron, but would get bronze, beating Bari Musauer, the man he helped secure to lead the first ever shootout, showdown qualifier, whatever title you want to use, win 12 years prior, in one of my favorite full circle moments out of recent. Before moving on, I just want to emphasize one thing. Tootal in this bracket went 7-1. That's insane. Dalton would have a strong freestyle, finishing 6th on a track that appeared to kill trucks left and right, as well as securing Rising Star and Arena Racer of the Year. The team was white hot, but you know what? More wins! Devin, Berto, and newcomer Carson Williams would all score their first racing wins, while Devin would secure his first overall in his hometown of Las Vegas, and Tim Hall Jr. would score 2 in California just a few weeks later. I know this begets the question as to why I decided now, and really it's to capture a snapshot in time. This team seems to be on the up and up, and the wildest thing too is they're still holding strong. Having established guard before segueing to new blood arguably was the smartest move this team made. Have veterans help get the name off the ground, and then find talent that can shine has been very much evident from the beginning of this roster. The team continues to grow, and while this video hasn't highlighted every driver, truck, or chassis change, to the point really is A, help hopefully highlight how this team has exploded into the monolith we see today, and B, help plant a seed to look back on in a few years. I have a good feeling in my gut we will see someone from this team win a world championship. Hell, if Too Tall had won 2 more races, he would have gotten gold. With the second part of 2024 coming around, there's tons of opportunities for Throttle Monster to rack up more wins, and probably will do so. And with the Monster Jam schedule being released in the next few months, who knows what the lines will look like, what new identities and new drivers the team will bring to the fold. The only guarantee is one we've been seeing since 2018, that it will be entertaining and nothing short of top-notch. I guarantee you'll be in your neck of the woods soon, so go check them out. They're helping provide memorable moments across the US every weekend, and will hopefully continue to do so for years to come. But anyways, I've gone off track, and I'll see y'all next time.